I have a new build that once put on the marketplace had me buyers lined up. It's made from a single 2x4 and has gotten me many more waiting for one. I removed the round edges from the 2x4, barely enough to remove the edge is enough. For this project, all of the 2x4 is resawed into two 1x4s, which I do in 2 passes, flipping the board between, keeping the same face on the fence. Using my stop block, I start by cutting 4 parts at 12 inches, 3 for the top and 1 for a bottom brace that we need later. Two at 5.5 inches and 2 at 9 inches. My stop block is not currently equipped to do them. I plan to give it an extension rod that can let me do shorter parts with it soon. I start by putting together a frame from the 4 shorter pieces I just cut. I simply glue it together and clamp it up, smaller pieces inside the longer pieces, before pre-drilling and screwing it from the outside. This is a rustic looking project, with visible screws. Feel free to make it with dowels or other fancier way, but this sold as is this way, sometimes less is more. Before sanding, I make sure everything fits and makes sense so far. This is the first time I've built this. You're seeing some of my thought process, more so later. With the sanding, I try to rough up and round the corners and edges to give it more of a look of old furniture. Nothing precise, but no sharp edges or corners. Add glue around the edge of the base and drop it center on top of the 3 top pieces. Leave a 1/16 of an inch gap or so between the boards, almost nothing, but not a full contact. Flip it over and carefully pre-drill and screw it from the top, using a countersink drill bit ideally to have a flush screw. The legs are simple to make. Set the angle of the miter saw to 7 degrees and the stop block to 14 inches. Simply cut and slide towards the stop block and cut again 4 times. More sanding. Same as before, make sure to leave no sharp edges for old school look and feel. Add glue to the legs and arrange them so they barely poke out to the side. Clamp up and flip the table onto a flat surface. Make sure the table is flat and all legs land flat on the table. Then pre-drill and screw the legs from the outside. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It helps a lot. Thanks to all subscribers. Here I'm using that extra 12-inch cut we did earlier, but realizing that it gets way too low to work out. In addition to that, the cross brace would be too wide, with the wood I plan to use. Back to the table saw. First, I'll rip the wood that I plan to use for the brace much more narrow. Now that I'm done with the build and narrating this video, I'm glad I decided to do that, it looks much better. Next, I make the 12-inch part a little bit narrower, so it arrives between the legs. I set my saw to 2.5 inches. Back to the build. This is much better. Before going to the miter saw, I trace roughly where I need the braces to land, knowing the 7-degree angle already. I set my saw for a compound angle of 45 degrees and 7 degrees, flipping the board between the cuts. I get braces that will follow the angle of the legs while having a 45-degree tip. Similar to before, I glue, clamp and screw the pieces in place, wedging the bottom plank in place. If you want full detailed plans to build this and many other of my builds, check out mattbuilds.com. Members get plans for free as they come out. Thanks for checking it out. Flip the table over and screw the bottom plank from under, with longer screws, through the side skirts. For the final sanding session, make sure the 45-degree braces arrive flush with the legs and finalize any other areas that could look a bit more smooth. I stained the whole table with wood ager from Verithane, one of my favorites lately. To finalize, I give it 2 coats of wipe-on poly for good protection against plant pots and water. This table is very fast to make and easy to batch out, and I've sold this one the day I posted it. I've got 2 more people who want it that I've said yes for the weekend, so I plan to make 4 more and see what I can make from this. Thanks for watching and see you next time.